Dickie's Diary 106. G'day friends, followers and fans. We have been in Tokyo for a few days now, and are becoming acclimatized to the culture, the humidity and the ambiance that permeates the Olympic Games village. I have seen so many different kinds of people from all walks of life here that it reminds me more of the village people, to be honest. YMCA. You know how it goes. Anyway, Team East Seacliff arrived safely, and it only took 14 hours to get through airport security. What with the COVID checks and everything. I've heard that the C virus is so rife outside in the Japanese community that the authorities are worried about us catching it while we are here. Very considerate, the Japanese. But 14 hours stood in a bloody queue with toilet runs strictly verboten. Not so easy peasy, if you ask me, especially with my bladder. Fortunately, the Olympic volunteers were handing out condoms to all our athletes, an Olympic tradition apparently, and I grabbed a few for my own use, not for the usual customary shenanigans, you understand, but they were very useful for helping me to relieve the stress on my poor old bladder while I was stood in the queue. They are watertight and very stretchy, thankfully, as each one was required to hold 3/4 of a litre. I had been hitting the wine pretty hard before I left home, thought it wise to top up as I'm not a huge fan of rice wine. I would only use it on my chips, to be honest. The only problem was how to dispose of 3/4 litre condoms of Hardwick urine. I kept them in my Tokyo Olympics souvenir backpack for the whole time we were at the airport. They were watching us like hawks, so I had no chance to put them in the bin. However, as we were transiting to the Games village atop the double-decker coach that was sent to collect us, I noticed that I could open the window and breathe fresh air for the first time in 25 hours. Delightful. It was then that I realized an opportunity to discard of the offending bags of piss that I was carrying. I waited until we were moving through the city, and when I thought that no one was looking, I hurled each one out of the open window to seek its destiny elsewhere. You know, I hadn't realized that there would be so many cyclists riding their bikes through the city at that time. Probably for their health, I imagine. At this point, I think I should heartily apologize for hitting 3 of the cyclists on the head with my piss bags, splitting asunder and raining holy hell down upon their heads. Golden showers indeed. Not since the siege of Jerusalem have those below been so assaulted by those above. I should also apologize for pointing and laughing raucously at their malaise, but can you blame me, really? Hilarious. Until, that is, that one guy licked his lips and smiled. Not so funny, wretch-worthy. Having disposed of my burden, I reflected on the remainder of the journey. You know, I really should have kept at least one of those bags, just in case one of our athletes gets tested. We could have used that holy water as a substitute. Pulling a Russian, as it's known in sporting circles, and we already had the perfect means of secreting it. I don't think they do cavity searches in Asada yet. Foolproof plan nailed. Sayonara!